spent 100 days in Cobblemon, the mod that puts all 1025 Pokemon into Minecraft, with the goal of making the most overpowered Pokemon team possible in order to beat you in a battle. That's right, you watching this video, because I'll be playing on today's video sponsor, Cobble Galaxy, an awesome Cobblemon server that adds a ton of insane features, one of them being the ability to open up your own Pokemon gym that others can challenge. A bunch of your favorite Poketubers have already become gym leaders on the server, and today it's my turn. So I'll be spending the next 100 on a meticulous grind to make the most lethal team of 6 Pokemon possible, before using that team to take on the other Poketubers' gyms, and then opening my own gym that you'll be able to challenge by the end of this video. Now, if I'm going to make an unbeatable team, I need to take advantage of everything this server has to offer. So I downloaded their Cobble Galaxy mod pack, which you can find in the description, or you can play by using their server IP. Now, as soon as I loaded in, I noticed 2 things. Number 1, I am getting flexed on by everyone in the spawn area. Like, seriously, not only are there exclusive skins to the server all around, but this guy even had a shiny Unbound Hoopa. I feel like I'm getting hit with the Pokemon equivalent of a money spread right now. And number 2, I already have an inventory, as the starter pack gives you plenty of Pokeballs, a diamond pickaxe, a fishing rod, and other convenient stuff. Looking at the server menu, there's plenty of ways to earn rewards, which I need to make myself very comfortable with if I'm gonna get ahead. They have a battle factory, which works just like it did in the old games. Rent a team of 3 Pokemon, and then take on different trainers. And if you win, you get to either take one of their Pokemon, or just skip to the next floor. There's 10 floors total, and you can get some crazy rewards for making it all the way to the top. And considering you don't have to use any of your own Pokemon, that sounds perfect for a server noob like me, so I'll definitely be checking that out. We also have the GTS, the server marketplace, where you can buy and sell everything from Pokemon to competitive items. So that's definitely going to come in handy when I get my hands on some money. But what I'm really interested in is the Dex reward. Every time you complete 5% of your Pokedex, you can get some better and better rewards like cash, Pokeballs, and keys, which can net you some really powerful rewards like legendary Pokemon, mythicals, or even the most expensive item in the whole server, the Mega Bracelet. You need this thing in order to Mega Evolve, and while you can just buy it for the GTS for around 4 million bucks, the legit way to earn it is through Pokemon Hunt, another server feature that gives you a board of different rarity Pokemon to track down and catch to earn Hunt points. 150 Hunt points gets you the bracelet, which is a lot, but considering it takes James from Team Rocket level wealth to get it the other way, this is gonna be our best bet. Now, if everything goes well, then I can use this menu to battle the other YouTubers that have played on this server. They have fully maxed out teams, and I only have 100 days to match them, so the pressure's on. But the plan is set. Catch a balanced team of Mons, fill up the Pokedex as quickly as possible, complete hunts, use or sell the rewards to get the best items and gear, and end up with a team of level 100, at least 1 legendary, and then use that team to decimate the other YouTubers to prove myself as the server's #1 gym leader. I started off by teleporting to a random area in the Orange Wild. For my starter Pokemon, I went with Quaxly because not only do I think it's super underrated, but Quaquaval can actually be a very strong singles Pokemon. It's got access to Aqua Step, a water type move that also increases speed, close combat for some raw damage, priority Aqua Jet, and if I find a way to get its hidden ability, it can have Moxie as well to be a devastating sweeper. But for now, my Quaxly is devastatingly trash, as I actually lost my first fight to a wild Baneri. Alright, well, that's embarrassing. Spawn number 2. This time, I found foes more my speed in a level 3 Poochyena and Magikarp. But it's at this point I noticed most of the Pokemon in the overworld are way too strong, even this sleeping Raticate. Thankfully, my daily login reward gave me some XP candies, so I followed this distant fire to the Capsicid culprit, used the candies to put my Quaxly to level 25, and made it my first catch. Filling out the Pokedex is definitely priority number 1, so I caught everything I could, until later while trying to help this Glameow out of a pit. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. I saw a Bisharp standing out in the open. Not only is it level 15, making it catchable even for my weak sauce team, but its evolution King Gambit is a super good singles Pokemon, because its signature ability Supreme Overlord gives it bonus damage for every fainted ally. So this will definitely be going on my final team as long as I can figure out how to evolve. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure to evolve Bisharp, you need a signature item and have it defeat other Bisharp that are surrounded by Pawniard or something it's something that complicated, so let's hope they made that more simple. From here, I evolve my Quaxly into the Chrome Dome champion Chum Bucket Head Quaxwell, and let its big bulbous melon take revenge on a wild Baneri. Let's go. Look at it. Look at how far we've come already. All I can really do from here is catch. So I took screen projector drive-in movie forehead Quaxwell around, catching everything in sight for the next couple days. And that's how I got this Rookity, which for now I put in the PC. Because while its evolution Corviknight is an excellent defensive Pokemon, I already have a Steel type in Bisharp, so I'm leaning towards not using it for now. I also caught a Zigzagoon, Yamper, Lechonk, and the god of Pokemon, Bidoof. And while I did even say at the time, oh, Bidoof's gotta go on the team. The god of Pokemon, you kidding me? Little did I know, that was some crazy foreshadowing. Then I found this Knackley, which evolves into Garganacl, a super good stall Pokemon with crazy defense, Salt Cure, and an ability that prevents status conditions. But I actually fainted it, so there goes that, I guess. Using my fishing rod for the first time got me a Floatzel, one of my favorite Pokemon, and while that was cool, fishing would become a lot more crucial later. I was just about to teleport back to spawn to reset when I had an even crazier find, a wild Weirdeer, and it was level 48. I figured, hey, I'm about to teleport back anyway, might as well take a chance. And it turns out this Weirdeer had narcolepsy. Huzzah! No, like seriously, not only did it only have psychic type attacks, meaning my Bisharp completely walled it, but it just kept falling asleep every 2 seconds. I've been hitting this thing for like the last 15 minutes. Get in the ball. So not only 10 days into this challenge, and I've already got a high level Pokemon. Things are looking up until they weren't. Because I was almost completely out of Pokeballs, and I can't get more for free for another 24 hours. And considering filling out the Pokedex is my only hope of making my dream team, I need to find a way to make some money and fast. So I spent the next hour just walking around hoping to, I don't know, find some. When you're broke in this game, it is a devastating feeling. All I can really do is walk around and look at Pokemon. Bro is an observer. But at least I found my first trainer battle, a youngster who I absolutely stomped out with Weirdeer, and that must have boosted my confidence. Because at this point I'm thinking, you know, I'm good at Pokemon battles. I am not a Minecraft fan who likes Pokemon. I'm a Pokemon fan who likes Minecraft. Huge difference. So I took on the Battle Tower. Surely me, who's so into Pokemon, I've had my very own fan-made game made, could easily... I lost on the first floor. No. Okay, we'll just cut this out. We'll just cut it out. It's fine. But that's only one of 3 battles. Surely my next one, I got eviscerated by a Torkoal on the 2nd floor. Okay, you know, I didn't know Eruption had a 100% chance to burn, but apparently in this fight, it does. 3rd time's the charm, they say. They had a Regigigas. How do you even have this? Well, there goes that plan. And you only get 3 attempts per day, so while the battle points you get for completing floors is nice, I'll just have to put it on hold for now. I am hitting a wall and hard. We're gonna need to get creative. Let's take a look at warp. These are basically just fast travel locations, and there's 2 kinds. The ones that the server made, and then the ones that the players made. Here you can find everything from XP grinding areas to underwater cities, like this one that people built called Kyogre. I'll let you guess how it got its name. And it's in Kyogre where I would notice a little fishing area, and it made me think, what's the big deal with fishing anyway? So I used the rest of my starter cash on some Great Balls and went fishing, and realized you can find a ton of Pokemon this way. It felt like everything I fished up was a new entry to my deck. I even got some hunts done too, because it turns out the fishing hunts are way easier than the overworld ones, making this easily my biggest discovery yet. But then I discovered I could ride my Weirdeer, so that distracted me for a bit. Oh, I can ride him. I'm gonna ride. And so my fishing addiction started. I was catching everything the Deep Blue had to offer, but I noticed nothing I was pulling up was really all that rare. And while I thought I'd have to purchase a good rod or a super rod like in Pokemon, it turns out you can just enchant the rod you already have. So I used some of those player warps from earlier to get a bunch of XP, and was rewarded with a rod that not only would fish up quicker, but it should give me some more rare Pokemon as well. From here, I went on what I can only describe as a fishing rampage. I went back to Kyogre and caught and then caught. I was seriously in this room for like 7 hours straight. I fished up ultra rare spawns like Piplup, which netted me a big chunk of hunt points. I even fished up a boss Pokemon, which is a super high level Pokemon that was even over level 100, and they must be incredibly rare because this is the only one I saw in all 100 days. And I know you're wondering what sort of rewards you get for defeating this boss, but so am I, because I ran away from it. I ran away from a shelter. You know, I think I'm like 30 or 40 days into this challenge already, and I don't think I've won a single important battle yet. But it really didn't matter. I got Delmise, Gorbis, Huntail, Clamperl, Primplup, Finneon, Tentacool, Wishy-Washy, Tynamo, Krabby, Spiel, Bergmite, Jellicent, Grimer, Binacle, Clawitzer, Tentacruel, Wimpod, Caravana. It was nothing I could use on the final team except maybe this Dratini, but that Pokedex was getting filled up. I was definitely earning my username. But all this time underwater made me crave sunlight. Not like real sunlight. I've been sat at my PC for about 11 hours or so at this point. I'm talking about, you know, Minecraft sunlight, the good stuff. So I ventured up to the surface for some easy catches. Like this pair of Gimmighoul's who, fun fact, if you defeat, will drop a coin, which if you get 100 of, you can evolve it into Goldengo, just like in Scarlet and Violet. But considering these were the only two I ever saw, that's definitely easier said than done, which sucks because Goldengo is a very strong Pokemon. Also, while going back to spawn to heal up my Mons, I accidentally picked up this Elytra on the ground. I think I accidentally stole it from someone who was trying to give it to someone, but I'm not sure, so thank you, mysterious benefactor. And as my capture count grew, I even took another swing at that battle tower. And while I made it to the 4th floor this time, it just seemed like they always had the perfect answer to my team. Okay, yes, turns out Suicune beats a full sun team. I promise y'all I'm good at Pokemon battles. This is bad luck. Bad luck is all this is. Turns out all I'm good for is fishing, so I subjected myself to another multi-hour grind session before getting bored and venturing out into the world, where I found a player-made nether portal that took me to this area when then out of nowhere, I just got teleported to the top of the nether. I seriously have no idea how this happened, but it let me pick up a handful of Pokemon I hadn't even seen yet, like Houndour and Duskull. A couple of them were actually on other people's claimed land, so I had to, you know, suggest them off the plot in order to catch them, which was a bit annoying. But it did remind me I should probably make my own base soon. I'm going to be a gym leader after all, and it's just like the old saying goes, for one to be a gym leader, one must have a gym. So I'll have to remind myself to make one that matches my personality and team when I have it a bit more solidified. After a few more catches on the surface, boom, my Pokedex was over 15% completed, which means it's finally time to cash in on some prizes. I got a bunch of extra cash, which is nice because I've basically been living Pokeball to Pokeball until this point. I got tokens, which will come in handy later, XP candies, a fossil, which, you know, I actually never figured out how to revive that thing, a random Mega Evolution Stone, which for me was Staraptorite, but most importantly, I got some keys. First up is the Pokemon key. This one's pretty simple. You just get a random Pokemon. It can be any of the 1025, so it's basically just a good way to get a few more Pokedex. Oh, sweet bow cheeks, butt cheeks. Is that Arceus? Oh, was that mine? That was Arceus. If that was actually just mine right now, that is a 1,020-some chance. Did that actually just happen? Wow. Okay, people are going to think I hacked this. There's no way you get that lucky on your first try at all. Yes, that's right. On my first spin ever in the Pokemon chest, I got the god of all Pokemon. I never expected to have the option of adding one of the strongest Pokemon of all time to my team, but here we are. And even though it's only level 1 right now, Arceus will certainly be a powerful addition to the team. 720 base stat total, access to a ton of moves, and I can even use the hunt points I got while fishing to get a random plate. This gave me the Pixie Plate, turning my Arceus into a super strong offensive fairy type. And from here, all I can hope is that I eventually get this thing to level 100 to get the move Judgment, because if you didn't know, Arceus actually has to reach the max level just to learn that move. That all being said, with my second Pokemon key, I got Snom, which arguably better. My item key, a key that gives you a random item, got me the weakness policy, which is an item that's a bit harder to use, and with my battle confidence at an all-time low, I decided I wasn't going to give that to any of my Pokemon, and I'll instead be looking for more of the generally good items like Life Orb and Leftovers. Speaking of items, I was so excited to see my Mega Staraptor that I evolved a Starly I caught earlier with the XP candies, and while Staraptor's model looks sick, I forgot, no Mega Band, no Mega Evolution. I hate being broke. But I did discover I could ride Staraptor around, which was good enough for now. And after my first test flight, I would finally hear the sound that every Pokemon fan dreams of. The showers broke it. Wait, no, I mean... Oh, a shiny. What is it? What's a Squovit? A pink Squovin, alright. My first shiny was found, and while it's nothing I'm gonna use on the final team, especially now that I have Arceus as a potential normal type, but it's still a much needed pick-me-up after finding out I'm poor. Now with how new I am to the server, I've definitely caught an insane amount of Pokemon so far, but I'm still 5% away from having 20% of my decks completed, and the rewards for doing that are way better than all the other tiers combined. And while 5% may sound small, that's still 51 new Pokemon I have to find, so I went to work. I've exhausted the water, so running around different biomes and catching everything with question marks in its name was the best play I had. Also, as a side note, if you're trying to complete your decks, definitely make sure you're taking advantage of the Wonder Trade feature. It's got a cooldown of only 30 minutes, and you can use it to trade in any Pokemon you have for a random one. I got a bunch of entries just by doing this every time the cooldown refreshed, and I even got some cooler Pokemon like Riolu and Fio. But you know, catching all these Pokemon has me thinking about my final team. And eventually, Weirdeer and Floatzel are gonna have to go. I've really only kept them around this long out of necessity. But if I'm going to make a team that truly represents me, I'm going to have to catch a Sire. A Claude Sire. Now you'd think this would be easy. I mean, I've literally already found Pokemon God at this point, but this would actually turn out to be the hardest thing I did in the entire playthrough. Yeah, turns out finding a specific Pokemon in this game can be nearly impossible. Now, of course, I could just go buy a Claude Sire, but that feels like it would rob me of the special connection a gym leader and their ace Pokemon are supposed to have, so that's off the table. I did some research into where Claude Sire spawns, and that list might as well have said everywhere, because it can be in a ton of different biomes. So I went to one where it said they could spawn and spent hours looking. I didn't know if it spawned on land or if you had to fish it up, so I developed a strategy where I would fish up an encounter, and while my Weirdeer was stomping out whatever came up, I would run around and, scare away the surrounding wild Pokemon. I'm sorry. This way, more would spawn and I would get a bunch more encounters. And while this worked to get me some crucial additional catches like Draclo, whose evolution Dragapult is a super fast pseudo-legendary, definitely worth considering for my final team, I still never found Claude Sire. So I do some more research, and turns out that by using /spawn check, the game will tell you what can spawn near you. And turns out I just been wasting time. Claude literally can't even spawn here. Please, Cobblemon, do you know what I've done with these hands? So now, I'm just mad. All that time and violence was for nothing. So while I refuse to end this challenge without a Claude Sire, I decided to use this rage on something productive and actually take a legitimate swing at that battle tower one more time. My first 2 runs of the day ended super early. Let's not talk about those. But on my third, I was on a run. I had the perfect comp of leading with Breloom, who, if the enemy let me set up with Bulk Up, was easily sweeping their whole team. And if not, I just switch out into Audino and wall them with Wishes and Protect before knocking off their item and plummeting their speed with Thunder Wave. I also had an Excadrill in the back as another great offensive option. And after making it through 6 floors, somehow surviving after my opponent got the luckiest crit Earthquake ever, and winning a 1v1 between my Audino and this Porygon 2, I would end up making a crucial mistake. You see, I took Goldengo after this fight, and while it's a super strong competitive Pokemon, it made me incredibly weak to the Floor 7's lead Iron Moth. Like, this thing just literally wiped my whole team. So while I never quite got to that 10th floor, Floor 7 is still pretty decent, so maybe now I can at least look myself in the mirror at night. Although I will say this does not bode well for my chances of beating the other Poketubers later. Okay, I'm back to hunting this Claude Sire, and I did a little bit of research. It turns out it might have to spawn, or is more likely to spawn, on a mud block. I don't know if it has to be naturally occurring or if you can place it down, but my current objective is to find mud, I guess. Well, I actually couldn't find any, at least not in the right biome. So I ended up begging in global chat for someone to come bring me some. Eventually, this guy came and put some down around me and in the water, but like, do you know how desperate this is? I begged a stranger for wet dirt. Not that he had much, and check spawn must have been glitching out because sometimes it would say nothing could spawn on the mud. Sometimes it said a whole bunch of stuff could spawn here, so I figured, hey, you know, I'm here, let's give it a shot. And after hours of fishing in this dirty old washed up lake, I said that is enough. Wait a second, that's the Claude I need. Oh, that's Whooper. No, that counts. That so counts. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Is it in the block? Where is it? Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's right there. Okay. So finally, my Clodsire was in sight. And this moment meant so much to me that I decided to dedicate this beautiful lake, this spotless oasis, to my gym. This is where I would build my forever home. But first things first, I evolved Wooper because I'll be needing Claude to model for me. No, it's not what you think. I just need to stare at its body for great lengths of time, taking note of every detail, salivating over its curves and edges in order to make the perfect base, which itself will be shaped like a Clodsire. That's right, you'll have to fight me, a Clodsire, wielding a Clodsire inside of a Clodsire. I bought the necessary blocks off the store. Did not touch a tutorial once, by the way. Why bother when I have the man himself right here? I think this is the right color. Yeah, I thought so too. And this took longer than I'd like to admit. I also did not claim the land around me at any point, so someone could have just came up and griefed this entire thing instantly. But nobody did, and I actually think it turned out pretty well. I even messed around with the inside until it had more of an earthy feel. And this is definitely where a ground-type lover like myself would prefer to battle. This Eevee must have loved the base too, because it showed up and became the final catch I needed to cross that crucial 20% mark. So I claimed the rewards, which netted me some more cash, candies, keys, and a random plushie, which turned out to be a Groudon. This must have been ridiculously rare because I looked up how much they sell for, and it was looking like my monthly DoorDash bill. And since I couldn't use it in my base anyway, on account of it being 2 times the size of the whole thing, I decided to sell it for a ton of cash, which would come very in handy later. But before I can spend it, I used my Pokemon key once more and got Iron Boulder. Give me Mewtwo. Ooh, that, you know, in a competitive sense, that's even better. Iron Boulder, that's insane. I have no idea how my luck has been this crazy just with the Pokemon chest specifically, but Iron Boulder not only fits our team's earthy vibe, but it's a monster offensive Pokemon as well. The perfect addition to the team, meaning we finally have all 6 of our slots filled. When we first started this challenge, I didn't think we'd have a team even half this good, but we're still not even done yet. Our Arceus is still level 1 after all, so I opened the GTS and spent all my Groudon plushie riches on XP candies. Finally evolved my starter. Got my Arceus to level 100, unlocking Judgment, while also being able to get everything else on my team to at least level 50. Also, I don't know if I did something for this to happen, but Bisharp could just evolve, so that was clutch. I didn't have to do anything extra. But as any good Pokemon trainer knows, a good team isn't complete without held items. Luckily for things like the air balloon, they're just super easy to craft, so I gave that to King Gambit in order to avoid its ground type weakness, made a life orb for Quaquaval so it hits even harder, bought leftovers for Clodsire on the GTS to help its tankiness, and while I couldn't quite afford the booster energy for Iron Boulder, which would have been really good, but it was like 850,000, I was able to craft an Assault Vest, which felt like a good budget option. With my remaining money, I bought some ability capsules to make sure my Quaquaval had Moxie and my Clodsire had Unaware, and spent the rest of my cash maxing out my team's EVs with some surprisingly affordable items. And so this is the team I was able to craft after my 100-day grind, and I gotta say, I'm proud. It's mostly a ton of raw damage, but Clodsire does provide some much-needed defense. And while we did get everything above level 50, we're still pretty far from being fully maxed out, and we never got the Mega Bracelet, so the Mega Stone on my Staraptor is really just for show. But fear not, because there's still one more thing I have up my sleeve. You see, Cobble Galaxy gave me access to their highest tier of membership, the Legend tier, which gives you a ton of weekly bonuses and abilities. And I haven't activated it yet, so I could build my team from scratch and make the challenge more challenging. But activating it now will let me make those last little tweaks I need to have a fair shot against the other YouTubers. Who, by the way, their teams are absolutely insane. It's basically like they're cheating. In fact, one of them is literally cheating, but you'll see what I mean later. But first, let's go over my team, starting with Claw. I built it to be a special defense tank with Toxic and Recover, so you already know what's going on there. And it's also got Unaware, so even if the opponent tries to boost their stats to break through our bulk, it's just not gonna work. Leftovers and Protect should keep us alive as well. Quaquaval, pure speed and attack with a Life Orb. The goal is to send it out and get at least one Aqua Step off to get our speed boosted, and then just spam close combat and destroy everything, getting Moxie boosts along the way. Staraptor, I was able to get the Mega Bracelet, so we can now use its super strong strong Mega Evolution, which is great because when we first send it out, it'll have Intimidate, but then after Mega Evolving, it'll get Contrary, which makes its close combat boost its defenses instead of lowering them, which is insane. Iron Boulder, I was able to get the booster energy, which will boost its speed because it's max speed and attack. So if we manage to ever get a Swords Dance off, the battle will be completely over because we'll just destroy everything. For Arceus, I actually took off the Pixie Plate and went with Heavy Duty Boots. It's fully invested in speed and special attack, and it's literally Arceus, it's Pokemon God. I'm just gonna click something and it's gonna work. And if everything else on the team fails, we have King Gambit, who's fully invested in attack and has Sucker Punch. So if this is ever the last Pokemon we send out, it could potentially sweep the opponent's entire team right back. But that's enough about what the team is. Let's see what it can do. My first opponent is Dr. Duke, and in their playthrough, they were a Team Magma trainer. So I decided to leave with Quaquaval to combat what I was assuming would be a team full of fire types. But their first Pokemon out was Primal Groudon, whose Desolate Land ability means no water type attacks for me, so I was forced to use close combat for some damage before losing my Dancing Duck to an Earthquake. But I had a great switch into Staraptor, who's immune to Earthquake and has Intimidate to cut Groudon's attack, but even it fell to its raw damage. But now it's my turn to use an overpowered legendary, as Arceus finished it off with an extreme speed before Dr. Duke sent out a King Gambit of his own, which fell to my Arceus coverage Earth Power, which was also enough to take out his third Pokemon Heatran and his fourth Houndoom. So yeah, believe it or not, Arceus is pretty good. His Charizard was finally enough to Mega Evolve and take out Arceus, but that just let me switch into Iron Boulder, whose 4 times effective Mighty Cleave was enough to scare it off, switching into his last Pokemon Victini, who is fainted in one shot anyways, letting me pick up an easy win. And while in the fight I just had, I had the advantage of knowing my opponent was mostly gonna bring one type of Pokemon, in this next fight, I would have no such luck, as the next YouTuber, Treyovard, is just straight up hacking. Now, I went into this fight completely blind, so I had no idea what his team would have on it, and I did think things were a little strange when I saw you could only bring 3 Pokemon into this fight, but I for sure knew something was up when his lead Slacking started attacking every turn. That's right, this Slacking does not have Truant somehow, but thankfully my lead Staraptor was literally the perfect counter with Intimidate, super effective close combat, and Contrary giving me defense boost. But if you thought Slacking was cheating, just wait for this next Pokemon. This corrupted looking Eternatus, which is named Entei for some reason, was immune to my Brave Bird. At the time, I had no idea why. I thought for a second I was being stupid and forgot some signature ability that Eternatus could have or something. But when its next move was Burn Up, I knew exactly what was going on, but I'll let Trey Award himself explain it.
This Golden Eternatus is the most unkillable Pokemon I could create. Every single aspect of it has been meticulously designed to counter every single strategy I could think of. The most important thing that makes it so invincible is the ability Wonder Guard, which makes you completely immune to any attacks that aren't super effective. And this Golden Eternatus is Fire type, meaning only ground, rock, and water type attacks are super effective and can hit it. But that wasn't good enough. The first move I taught Eternatus is Burn Up, which you can only use once because when you do, it completely removes your fire typing, which makes Eternatus typeless, meaning it no longer has any weakness and is immune to all attacks.
Now look, I've been around the Pokeblock. I'm aware of all the Wonder Guard, Air Balloon, Electros, Endeavor, Focus Band, Rattata. Like, I'm aware of all the cheesy strategies that have ever existed in Pokemon. So as soon as I saw Burn Up, I was pretty aware of what was going on. But that being said, this thing is nearly invincible. None of my Pokemon can even touch it. That is, except for one. That's right, if this Eternatus is custom made to win any fight, our Clodsire might as well be custom made to beat specifically this Eternatus. Not only does it have Toxic, which is more than enough to eventually whittle away all its HP, but its special bulk and recover means that Eternatus can barely touch us back. Who knew that when I spent all those hours fishing for this thing, it would pay off in such a spectacular way? But here we are, as our simple Clodsire defeated a hacked legendary with ease. Oh, and it also completely walled his last Pokemon, Blissey. I don't know what this thing's game plan even was, but it didn't work and it fell the same way. But our next opponents are the pair of M&J TV and PM7. And I hate to judge a book by its cover, but M&J looks like the easier fight, at least based on aura, so I took him on first. I led with Iron Boulder this time, as it's quickly proven to be my best offensive Mon, and I wanted to get it started with a Swords Dance. Luckily, my opponent led with Kilowattrel, which shouldn't be able to do too much damage damage to us at all, so I went for it. And after seeing how little damage its Thunderbolt did against me, I think it was the right call. I then took it out with a Mighty Cleave, but Corviknight was his next mon up. Usually this would be the perfect answer to Iron Boulder, but I decided to stay in and trust in my raw damage, which would actually work out when I took out Corv in 2 cleaves and barely survived the following Rocky Helmet damage with 1 HP. At this point, I'm destined to win, so I stay in on my foe's shiny Gyarados and went for a Zen Headbutt that almost took it out, but the following waterfall damage finally brought an end to my Iron Boulder. But it wasn't going down alone, as the following Life Orb damage was enough to make us both faint. I'm pretty much just playing with house money now, so I send out Clodsire, but was scared away by his Staraptor, so I switched into my own for the Intimidate drop, but I still got absolutely smacked thanks to its Choice Band. Quaquaval once again had a chance to do anything at all, and it got one shot. Low-key, I'm starting to think that my starter choice was a mistake, because as far back as I can remember, this thing has been losing fights. And at this point, the battle is actually tied, but I have Arceus, who caused him to switch into Togekiss, which really couldn't do enough damage, especially when I have Recover, so it switched back out to Staraptor, who is finally taken out. Dragonite was next, and its ability Multiscale was making it nearly impossible to damage, but thankfully, its Dragon Claw really wasn't doing much damage to us either. So after spamming more judgments, I was able to feint Dragonite and the Togekiss, winning me another match. Being 3-0 feels good, but now I face my biggest challenge yet. No, not PM7, the challenge of making Quaquaval do anything at all. I once again led with the Duck, and this time was happy to see an Ice type facing me down. A close combat later, and Quack had finally contributed something and got himself a Moxie boost. Lapras came out next, and after stalling the inevitable with Protect, was also taken out by a close combat, giving me 2 attack boosts. But sadly, it was a Watchog that ended Quaquaval's success, outspeeding it and landing a huge double edge. This gave Staraptor the chance to come in and break down its attack before once again launching a close combat, taking out his Watchog and boosting its defense, which made it bulky enough to survive a super effective hit from his next Pokemon, Glacier. Another close combat led to another Regice, whose Ice Beam finally took out our bird. Whatever, that just means Iron Boulder can come in and finish the job. At least that was until Mamoswine showed up and got revenge for his Ice-type brothers with an Earthquake. But you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Quaquaval had gotten us too big a lead for us to mess it up now, as Arceus came in with full HP and secured my 4th win in a row. But my last opponent was Zwigo, who actually tried out my fan-made game for a video, so shout out to you, Zwigo. But also prepare yourself, Zwigo, as I'm looking to go 5-0. I once again led with Quaquaval, who I thought would have an easy time against this Shadow Infernape, which is a super cool custom skin, by the way. But unfortunately, it got outsped and one-shot with its close combat. But don't worry, Quaquaval, I still remember that one good fight you had. Staraptor was then the obvious switch-in, who cut its attack with Intimidate before taking it out with a Brave Bird. I then got flexed on by a shiny Dodrio, who is blazing fast and took us out with a Drill Peck. I threw out Iron Boulder, who scared off this lime green flying type into Greninja, who I think has Battle Bond, but I never actually found out as we took it out in 2. Iron Boulder was looking poised to sweep his whole team, but his Ace Swampert came out and had enough bulk to easily tank our Zen Headbutt and return with an Earthquake that put us away. Clodsire is basically useless in this fight, so I sent it out hoping to maybe land a Toxic, but no such luck. At least its sacrifice will power up our King Gambit. I then sent out Arceus, who made Zwigo change to his own legendary Solgaleo, which resists our normal type Judgment, but was weak to our Earth power, so it landed a Sunsteel Strike before being taken out. Then Dodrio came back out and had speed so high, it outran literal Pokemon God, taking out my Arceus with a high jump kick. Which is funny because at this point, this normal type bird has given us way more trouble than even a hacked legendary did. We're down to our last Pokemon now, but that Pokemon is King Gambit, who thrives in these positions. We literally bred him for this exact moment. And of course, my first Sucker Punch was more than enough to take it out in a single blow. But poetically, it was Zwigo's Ace Swampert that was once again bulky enough to survive my physical attack before responding with a 4 times effective Hammer Arm, ending the battle and handing me my first L. But I'm still so proud of our team, and we definitely proved we can hang in there with the best. So if you think you can defeat me, come and prove it by downloading Cobble Galaxy's mod pack using the link in my description, because if you come to these coordinates, you'll find me waiting there, ready to take you on and take you out. Huge thank you once again to Cobble Galaxy Galaxy for sponsoring this video. I had a ton of fun on the server, and I'm definitely gonna keep playing it. So maybe I'll see you all around in the Kyogre fishing hole, but until then, let's go. I finally have the Mega Bracelet. LeBron James?